Alright, welcome back to another episode of Dave Makes Food. Today we're going to be making Char Siu spare ribs, a super simple recipe that uses the leftover pieces from side ribs. And all we're going to have to do is marinate and bake them. The first step will be to process our spare ribs. Side ribs are on sale this week and these are the leftover bits. The first section can simply be turned into spare ribs by cutting through the cartilage. There's nothing difficult here. This second section contains a piece of the spine, as you can see here. Cut beside the spine going parallel to it, and a similar section to the first one will come off and you can process it in the same way by cutting through the soft cartilage. I'm going to be cutting them into roughly 3-ounce pieces. Now for the piece with the spine in it. You can cut through it between the vertebrae using a little bit of force. I like to cut in a little way and twist the knife to separate it, and then firmly hitting the back of the knife. You should probably use a heavier knife than the one I'm using here for easier results. And then there was just one more piece from the end of the ribs that didn't have any bones, so just cut that up into similar sized pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is about 2 pounds of spare ribs, and we'll put everything into a Ziploc bag. Alright, let's move on to the marinade. Start off with about 4 tablespoons of honey and 2 tablespoons of sugar. 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of white pepper, and a half teaspoon of 5-spice powder. Be careful with the 5-spice powder. If you add a bit too much or too little of the other ingredients, it won't make a big difference, but 5-spice powder is really strong. Next we'll add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce, and a few drops of red food coloring to give it that classic red color. Mix everything together and give it a taste. This is just a base recipe, and everyone's brands of sugar and soy sauces will taste slightly different, so make sure the balance of sweet and salty is to your liking and adjust it if not. Pour the marinade into the bag, and we're also going to add a half teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch, and 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. These 3 ingredients are going to tenderize the spare ribs through a process called velveting and give them a really nice soft texture even though we're only baking them. Seal the bag, removing as much air as possible, mix it up completely, and transfer them to a pan so they don't leak in the fridge by accident. And then we're going to place it overnight in the fridge, but ideally 2 nights and up to 48 hours. Mix it around a couple times a day if you can as well. When you're ready to cook your ribs, set your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and place the spare ribs on a heavy bottom tray or pan with parchment paper. They will stick and likely burn if you use tin foil. Evenly spread them out into the pan, and then we'll place them in the middle rack of the oven. Be careful about placing them too close to a heating element because this marinade contains a lot of sugar and they can burn. They're going to cook for a total time of about 90 minutes, but check on them and give them a mix every 20 to 30. Rotate them around in the pan so they all cook evenly, and after about 90 minutes they should be nicely caramelized. But you can make them as dark or light as you want. It's completely personal preference. You can also use this recipe with any cut of pork. Fatty cuts like these spare ribs or pork shoulder are usually the most popular, but this can also be done with lean cuts such as tenderloin. Don't forget to garnish them with sesame seeds and some bias cut green onions. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this recipe video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thanks for watching.